Hey folks, Yaku Cosmopolitan here. Samurai Japan just played its first game in the 2026 World Baseball Classic, and they beat Chinese Taipei 13-0 in 7 innings. It was a mercy rule. So a couple of things I want to hit on here. First of all, the starting lineup. Coming in, we were not sure, is it going to be Ohtani or Kondo leading off? They were flip-flopping during the exhibitions. Kondo had talked about liking hitting in front of Ohtani because he just can focus on being an on-base guy, doesn't have to worry really about driving guys in. But I think it was the right choice to go with Ohtani because he does that for the Dodgers. Obviously, he sets the tone in a big way, and he's also, very fast. So Ohtani lead off. Kondo in the 2-hole is also totally fine because he did that role back in the 2023 tournament and was instrumental. Seiya Suzuki at 3. Playing center field obviously is the slight concern, but that did not matter today. And then this was a surprise. Masataka Yoshida hitting cleanup as opposed to Munetaka Murakami, who was moved down to 6. Really what this mirrors is what manager Hideki Kuriyama did entering the knockout stages back in 2023. Murakami has been sort of pegged as Japan's cleanup man for years, and he started the 2023 tournament in the cleanup spot, but he was doing so bad in pull play and he was slumping that Kuriyama decided to move Murakami down in the order and then slot Yoshida into the 4. And that ended up paying off as Yoshida had that big game-tying 3-run shot in the semifinals, and then Murakami kind of woke up with the walk-off in that game, and then he homered against USA in the final as well. So, Ibata just kind of doing like the same version of that, but earlier, like just, the first day of the tournament, he decides to put Murakami at 6, and then he sandwiches Okamoto there in the middle to break up the lefties and righties. Shugo Maki at 7, we always knew he was going to be there. That's where he batted mostly in the exhibitions and also during the Premier 12. Despite him being one of the better hitters on the team, he was hitting, not like, second or third, but he was batting 6th. So I think Ibata's kind of been preparing Maki for this for a while. Sosuke Genda at short. Some people might find that to be surprising, but he did start 4 consecutive games during the exhibitions entering this tournament. So I think Ibata has just kind of decided on him as the guy, just as he was back in 2023, coming off a really poor year, but still, very good defensively. And he actually came through a lot with the stick today. And then, of course, Kenya Wakatsuki catching makes a lot of sense because he used to be the personal catcher of Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the Oryx Buffaloes. So, when it comes to the game itself, Ohtani, again, leadoff double on the first pitch of the game, plus the grand slam. He finishes 3 for 4 with 5 ribbies. I mean, he is obviously the MVP of the game. Kondo was the only one who went hitless, 0 for 5. Not that that matters. Yoshida had a good day, 2 for 3. And then Genda, really, I mean, come on, 3 for 3 with 4 ribbies. Who expected that from Sosuke Genda in 2026? A lot of good line drives there. Japan ended up getting 13 hits, 7 walks. So, I mean, traffic on the bases, obviously, all throughout. I do know Chinese Taipei was kind of sort of punting on this game in a way, just because they're saving their better pitchers for the Korea game and then the Czech game. Because, Japan is, I guess, too big of a hurdle for them. Although, very different team. They did win the Premier 12 gold medal game against Japan. But yeah, this was not Chinese Taipei's best effort, certainly. And they lost 3-0 in the opener against Australia. So they have been outscored so far 16-0 in this tournament, which is not very pretty. We get into Japan's pitchers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto starting. I don't think he was like completely in a groove or anything, but he did fine. I mean, 2 2/3. He walked 3. One of those he kind of got screwed over because there was a pitch clock violation that made him go from a 2-2 count to a 3-2 count, and I could tell he yanked one of those pitches, and he was very unhappy with himself. The plan was for him to complete 3 innings, but he only ended up going 2 2/3. He got 2 strikeouts, no hits allowed. I mean, the stuff was obviously very good. He was sitting 96 miles per hour, but I'm sure he would have wanted to get that 1 extra out. And then right after Yamamoto came out, Shoma Fujihira entered just to get the 1 out, and he got the job done with the bases loaded. Big strikeout. So, Fujihira is a guy that they added late when they had already opened camp because Daichi Ishii and then Kaimataira, those guys got hurt, so they brought in Fujihira, and came through in high leverage, or I guess it's not really high leverage because they were up 13-0, but you know what I mean. He saved Yamamoto from what could have been potentially runs on the board. And then the game plan was for them to go to Hiroya Miyagi, Yamamoto's former teammate on Oryx, and also just one of the best pitchers in MPB right now. And it works out really well because obviously you can have Wakatsuki behind the plate for most of the night. They're transitioning from Yamamoto into Miyagi, and then maybe tomorrow they go with Seishiro Sakamoto, for instance. But yeah, Miyagi looked really nice. All these are from Pitch Profiler, by the way, who I recommend following. Koki Kitayama also got an inning of work. 117 pro stuff plus there on the splitter is very nice. He was sitting almost 96 as well. So I think Kitayama can really be a dynamic weapon for Ibata this tournament. I mean, he is, a starter in MPB, but has experience as kind of an opener, has experience as a closer. He did do sort of that 2-inning reliever thing as well during the Premier 12, but today we saw him in just 1 inning, and he gave up the one and only hit that Chinese Taipei got, Yu Chang. Otherwise, this would have been a combined, no-hitter in 7 innings. But yeah, Kitayama, very sharp. And then Ryuhei Sotani, also from Oryx, so, got all 3 of the Buffaloes guys in there. And he was quite good as well. His signature kind of slider sweeper, 105 pro stuff plus. And yeah, this was a very, dominant effort from start to finish by Japan. They will be playing Korea tomorrow. I don't think we really learned all that much from this game other than to say that, yeah, they can hit. And we knew coming into this tournament that is going to be their big strength this time. Last time you could say that the pitching was really the thing that carried them. This time it very well could be the bats. Now, I don't think they're going to change all that much in the coming games, except for Wakatsuki behind the plate will be swapped out with Seishiro Sakamoto for, probably half the games. And then you might see Kaito Kozono at short one of these days. I'm not quite sure. And then, if they're 3-0 going into the last game against Czech, then who knows? They might even play Ukyo Shuto in center or something like that. But I will say one thing that came to mind for me was this rally in the 2nd inning. One of the plays of the game for me is when Genda is hit by a pitch. He was barely clipped on the leg. I mean, it maybe scuffed his pants. But I'm curious if that at-bat went on, was Ibata going to have Genda bunt? Because it would be in his MO for, they get 2 guys on, Murakami walks, Maki singles, and then you have the 8-hitter up. Genda could have just bunted there, and then, playing that small ball, you get to Wakatsuki, try to get a sacrifice fly out of him. This was not a great at-bat by Wakatsuki, by the way. He was up 2-0 and then swung at 2 balls, ended up popping that out to catcher. Obviously didn't matter because Shohei Ohtani hit that grand slam, but even within, such a, overpowering performance like this, 13-0, that moment stuck out to me where I wonder if Genda had not been hit on the very first pitch, what was the plan there? Was he just trying to, keep the line moving, which is, what I prefer. I don't like when they just give away free outs when the pitcher is struggling. But you very well could see Ibata play this sort of more traditional Japanese small ball with the bottom of the order guys. 1 through 7 is just so deep that they're gonna all be swinging away and they can all put the ball over the fence. Obviously, you have Teruaki Sato who can come off the bench. Shota Morishita in the 6th inning pinch hit for Wakatsuki as well. So they have a ton of options, and they almost have too many good players for their own good, at least lineup wise. But yeah, I mean, this was obviously an incredible start. Ibata could not have asked for any more. It was almost like everything he had drew up came to fruition in a good way. So it's going to be a tougher game tomorrow against Korea, who is also 1-0, coming off a blowout win of their own against Czech. They can definitely swing the bat, and it's going to be Yusei Kikuchi, probably with Hiromi Ito as the guy piggybacking off of him. And then we might see more of the traditional relievers like Yuki Matsumoto, Taisei in that game. But should be a lot of fun.